Do we need to turn the volume up a little more? That might not be an option. I'll just try to talk as loud as I can. Before we get started this morning, I just wanted to ask if right after we adjourn the meeting today, if you guys can hang out for 5 minutes more before you depart, and you'll understand why when we get there. Thanks. Before we get started, if you don't mind, if we could all stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. To Susan Strout, resident of the town of Sumner in the county of Oxford, greetings. In the name of the state of Maine, you are required to warn the inhabitants of the town of Sumner in said county, qualified by law to vote in town affairs, to meet at the Hartford Sumner Elementary School on Saturday, June 22nd, 2024 at 9 in the morning. Then and there to act on the following articles to wit. Our first order of business is going to be right before Article 1, just to make things simpler, and that is going to be, I would like to nominate Diane Campbell, our town clerk, to be able to speak at this meeting since she is not a resident of the town. So do I have a second for that nomination? Thank you. And Town of Sumner, can we please vote to have Diane speak at this meeting? All right. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item of business is to elect a moderator to preside at the meeting. And I would like to nominate Terry Hayes. Do I have a second on that? Okay. All in favor for Terry to be our moderator today? Oh, that's right. Okay. I'm still green at this. All right. We need at least 3 voters. So, could I have 3 of the closest members of the town come and place their ballots, please? Three for Terry. Terry, you have become our moderator. Thank you very much for doing this for us today.
I, Teresa Hayes, do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state, so long as I shall continue a citizen thereof, so help me God. I, Teresa Hayes, do swear that I will faithfully discharge to the best of my ability the duties incumbent on me as moderator of this meeting according to the Constitution and laws of the state. So help me God. Copies are under my assignment for 15 minutes. 10 seconds. Good morning, everybody. Privileged to be here. First thing I'd like to do with unanimous consent, which means unless any of you object, I'd like to agree that we're going to use the Maine Moderator's Manual as our guide this morning should we need it. Are there any objections? Seeing none, that's our decision. If you are a voter in Sumner, when you arrived and were checked in, you were given a card with your name on it. Have you been here before when I've been here before? Raise your hand. Oh, heck, y'all know what to do then, which is a good thing. Just a brief reminder, this morning as we conduct our business, your primary job is to be a respectful listener. Whether or not you agree with the speaker, we ask that you listen respectfully. When it's your turn, when you wish to speak to an issue, I'd like you to hold your card up so I can see it, and I'll write your names down in the order that I see them, and then I'll call on you in that order, so you don't have to sit there the whole time with your hand up in the air like Horseshack used to have to do on TV. Okay? Are you able to hear me? All right. So, any questions before we get started? All right. Article number 2. To see if the town will authorize the select persons to set the tax due date with interest of 8.5% yearly to be charged on unpaid taxes beginning Friday, January 31st, 2025. Is there a motion on Article 2? Thank you. Is there a second? Article 2 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 2, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 2 carries. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to set the interest rate to be paid by the town on abated taxes at 4.5% for the fiscal year July 1st, 2024 to June 30, 2025. Is there a motion, recommended by select persons? Is there a motion on Article 3? Article 3 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 3, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 3 carries. Article 4, to see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $409,460 from anticipated revenues and the general fund to decrease the 2024-2025 tax commitment. This is recommended by select persons. Is there a motion on Article 4? The recommended amount was right in the motion as read. Thank you. Is there a second? Article 4 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 4, please raise your hand. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 4 carries. Article 5. To see if the town will vote to increase the town of Sumner's property tax levy limit, which is LB1, from $554,552 to $651,385 in the event that the municipal budget approved under the following articles will result in a tax commitment that is greater than the property tax levy limit as recommended by the town's select person and the budget committee. Is there a motion on Article 5? I have a motion here and a second. Article 5 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? Oh, thank you, Deb. And Debbie reminded me that we'll have a written vote on this item that's required by state law. So I'm looking to see if anyone, Mr. Litchfield.
I think for the last couple of years, we've taken a vote on this. There's been an awful lot of confusion as to what a yes vote means and what a no vote means. I'm wondering if you might address that issue so people have a good understanding of how they vote.
Thank you. Mr. Litchfield asked me to clarify what a yes vote will mean and what a no vote will mean before we do our balloting. So if you look at at the article itself, the levy limit that would be set by statute, as I understand this wording, is the first number, the $554,552 cap. If voters, as you go through the rest of the agenda this morning, approve the recommendations of the board, the select board, and the budget committee, that number would have to be increased to $651,385. So a yes vote would be in favor of that increase, and a no vote would be opposed and would be mainly to keep the $554,000 number. Mr. Litchfield, does that help?
So a no vote would mean we would have to reduce our budget from 651 to 554, is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Litchfield. The recommended amounts would have to be lowered in order to maintain the cap set the law. There's additional information in notes around the article as well. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 5? Yes, Jim. Just the reminder again that there are 3 notes in the warrant under Article 5, and if we want to if you haven't read them yet, I think Ms. Freno was suggesting that you might want to do that before you vote. Ladies, are we doing this by alphabet? And which part of the alphabet do you have? Thank you. So, I've got Miss Bath. Stand up and use your outdoor voice, Franny. I know you have one.
My question is, what will this do if we vote everything in and vote healthy money? How much do you think our taxes are going to go up? That's the bottom line.
Mrs. Bavish, your question, if I vote yes, how much will my taxes go up? Go up. How much will they go up? Is there someone who could answer that question? What would the mill rate be? Franny, would you stand up and holler at me, please? I know there's a microphone over there, but
No, okay. The bottom line for me is, if we vote everything in, what will that mean for our taxes? How much will they go up?
so if the recommendations are all followed, what impact will that have on the taxes? And Diane, when you're speaking, you stand up and yell, or you can come to my microphone.
Okay, I'll come here. So I have 2 answers. So there's actually 2 answers to your question, Franny. The first answer is voting yes on LD1 will not keep your taxes down because of other factors of the budget, such as the school budget and our county tax. So the LD1 vote is not the only factor in how much the taxes will go up this year. If you look at the information in the annual town report, I believe we are estimating that the mill rate, if everything is voted in, will go up by 1.3 mil.
Okay, that's what I wanted. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, ladies. And there could be a tiny celebration when we're done with this one, because this is the last time you're going to have to do it. Right. Are there any other questions before we open the ballotings? I'll just remind you, when we do debate, there is another microphone over here. If it would be helpful, the whole idea is to hear each other, and if we can't hear you, we're going to ask you to move and use the microphone. Thank you. Debbie? Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. So we're going to open the ballot at this point in time. We understand what a yes vote means and what a no vote means. If your last name begins A through M, you will start with Ms. Freeman on your right. And if you're the second half of the alphabet, here on on your left. The ballot box is open and the meeting will be suspended until we have a chance to count the votes and announce it. Thank you. Counting the votes. So again, the motion Article 5 had to do with whether or not the town would vote to exceed the LD1 cap. The numbers are in the motion. The outcome, there were 56 votes yes, 22 votes no, and there were 6 blank ballots. So the motion on Article 5 carries. Ready to move on to Article 6. To elect the necessary officers as are required to be elected by written ballot. So, we're going to do this again. And we've noted something. For reasons that probably there's no direct explanation, there are many more of you at the beginning of the alphabet than at the end. Huh. So, it's an interesting challenge. Anyway, we'll try to keep things as efficient as we can be. These ladies, I think, are doing a great job. So, I don't need a motion on Article 6 because it is a written ballot. The ballots are already prepared. I'm going to be asking you to come forward again, lined up alphabetically, as you did before. There are pens. I'll have a few extra pens by the ballot box. Deb, would you do the same as you did before and show that the ballot box is empty? The key is right on top of it. So the lock. Thank you. So that you know there's nothing else in there. Okay. So we're going to again take a pause in the group meeting. Have you all come as you choose to, mark your ballots, and then the ballot clerks will count them, and I'll announce the vote. Any questions before we start? I'm sorry, excuse me. I can't see. Is that Mr. Rubin? You're on the floor.
Can you announce who is running for what?
Well, I could if I had a ballot. Hang on. There are two opportunities to vote on the printed ballot. The first one is for a 3-year position for select person. There's one, Joel Babb is on the ballot, and there's a write-in space. Oh, Joel, I'm sorry, Joel Chapman. Joel Babb is going to be mortified if you like. Don't do that. That's my bad. You can tell who I was talking to at the ballot box, right? It's Joel Chapman. I've never done that before. Sorry. Thank you. Joel's awake now, though. Okay, that's for sure. So it's Joel Chapman and a write-in opportunity for select person for 3 years, assessor overseer. And then for road commissioner for a 3-year term, Sean Corson is on the ballot, and there's a write-in opportunity. Does that answer the question, Bob? That's it. Thank you. Any other questions? Fine, then polls are open. We call the meeting back to order. We now have the results of the balloting. And these were, again, the secret balloting on the election of a 3-year select person. This would be Joel Chapman, who received 80 votes. There were no write-in votes. And for road commissioner, Mr. Corson had 71 votes. There were 6 blank ballots under the road commissioner election. There were 2 write-ins for Weldon Lucas and 1 for Jeremy Johnson. So that was the outcome of your balloting. Thank you all very much. Now we're going to go on to Article number 7. To see if the town will authorize the tax collector to accept tax payments prior to commitment. Is there a motion on Article 7? Mr. Glass.
I'd like to move that we take Article 7 through 12 as a block.
The motion Mr. Glass has made is to take Articles 7 through 12 together as a block. Is there a second? And that motion has been seconded. I'll give you a minute to look. We're going to decide whether we're going to do it first. So take a minute to look through 7 to 12, and then I'll ask if there's any discussion. Mr. Glass, for clarity's sake, is your motion to accept the recommended figures as written? Thank you. So again, the motion before you at this time is whether or not you choose to take those items together, this Article 7 through Article 12. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to that motion? I see no hands. If you're in favor of doing that, you'll raise your hands when I say yes. Now, yes. All those in favor? Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? There we go. So, the motion before the body is to accept the recommendations in Articles 7 through 12. If you wish to speak to any of those items, now would be the time. Mr. Standard.
Just a point of information. Who is the emergency management director these days?
Mr. Standard asked, who is the emergency management director today for the town of Sumner? There's no one listed with that responsibility at the present time, Mr. Standard. You're welcome. Anyone else have a question or a comment on Articles 7 through 12? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The articles as written in Articles 7 through 12 have been accepted as written. Article 13. To see if the town will vote to appropriate all monies received from the state from the registration of snowmobiles to the Maine Town Snowmobile Club for the purpose of maintaining their snowmobile trails, to be open for use by the public at all times, and to authorize the municipal officers to enter into agreement with the club under such terms and conditions as the municipal officers may deem advisable for that purpose. This is recommended by the select persons. Is there a motion on Article 13? Mark? So moved. Thank you. Is there a second? Article 13 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 13, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 13 carries. Article 14. To fix the wages or salary for the road commissioner for the ensuing year. Select persons and budget committee recommend $5,000. Is there a motion on Article 14? Mr. Black?
So moved.
The recommended amount has been moved in Article 14. Is there anyone who wishes to second? And second. So the recommended amount of $5,000 has been moved and seconded for Article 14. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? That car wants to be heard. Second. Well, I see no hands, so I'm going to ask for your vote. All those in favor of the $5,000 amount for the salary of the road commissioner, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. Article 15. To fix the salary or wages of select persons, assessors, and overseers for the poor for the ensuing year. The Budget Committee recommends $10,500, which is the same as $3,500 per select person. Is there a motion on Article 15? Mr. Black. Thank you. Mr. Glass has moved the recommended amount of $10,500. Is there a second? That amount has been seconded. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 15? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 15, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 15 carries. Article 16, to see what sum of money the town will vote to authorize the select persons to raise and appropriate as they deem advisable to meet unanticipated expenses and emergencies that occur during fiscal year July 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025. Select persons and budget committee recommend $2,000. Is there a motion on Article 16? Mr. Standard? So moved. And that's a recommended amount, sir, of $2,000. Thank you. Is there a second? The recommended amount of $2,000 has been moved and seconded in Article 16. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 16, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 16 carries. Article 17, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for general assistance for the ensuing year. Select Persons and Budget Committee recommend $500. Is there a motion on Article 17?
So move it.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. The recommended amount of $500 has been moved and seconded for Article 17. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 17, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 17 carries. Article 18, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for administration for the ensuing year. Select Persons and Budget Committee recommend $310,910, and there's a breakdown in your town report that shows how that number was arrived at. Is there a motion on Article 18? Mr. Black.
So move it.
Is there a second?
Second.
The recommended amount has been moved and seconded for Article 18. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Mr. Standard.
Item P is for IRS penalties. Why do we owe the IRS money?
Mr. Standard's question is, item P lists the IRS penalties. He'd like an explanation for the $20,000 in IRS penalties. Is there someone who can provide that? Go ahead, Diane. Diane, do you want to use my microphone?
Sure. So at the special town meeting, we appropriated money for penalties for failure to file. I'm sorry. Taxes. Yeah, for 22 and 20, the years 2022 and 2023, and we were under the assumption that we would be able to abate at least one of those full quarters. However, it does seem that the IRS, they've asked for more time, and we're not sure that we will be able to abate the full quarter, and so therefore we believe we will need some more money to pay those fines.
So these are old penalties?
Correct.
Ms. Chapman.
I just have a question about the amount that we see up top. 310, 910 is different from the amount at the bottom, where it's 310, 410. So there's a difference there.
Thank you, Ms. Chapman. I'm going to give time to Diane and the select persons to answer your question. There's a
There's a typo, and we're trying to figure out which one to use.
Diane's belief is that there's a typo, and she's taking time to figure out which number is wrong.
Is that the difference of the general assistance? $500. Is that just
I can't tell who's talking,
right?
but tell me your name.
Steve Claus?
Christine, could you stand? So it will be easier for me to hear you, ma'am.
Is that, if the sum looks like the difference is $500, is that because the general assistance was just not included in this list?
No, the general assistance.
It's a possibility. I think we're still looking at to determine exactly what the difference in the numbers is. Thank you.
appears that if you look under salaries breakdown, the medical insurance is $13,500, and under the salaries total, that number was actually 13,000. It should be the 13,500. So that 310,910 is the correct number.
So the motion before you has the correct number, as Diane just explained. The motion is to accept the recommendation of $310,910. Are there other questions for the motion on Article 18? Thank you, Diane, for explaining that. Ms. Phillips?
Is the 20,000 that's going to get set aside for IRS penalties the last penalty that the town will have to pay?
Ms. Phillips asked, do we anticipate any additional penalties after the 20,000? Would that be having to pay us? Will there be more?
We don't anticipate there will be more, but we won't know that until the IRS gets back to us.
I had one more question, Diane. Did Maine get paid for the years that those taxes were not filed? Is that not his responsibility?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Did the auditor get paid for the years that the discrepancies occurred, or was that not his responsibility?
That was not his responsibility.
I see.
And he wasn't paid because we didn't get audits done.
Any other questions or comments on the motion on Article 18? All right, looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the recommended amount that's been moved in Article 18, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 18 carries. Article 19. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for protection for the ensuing year, select persons and budget committee recommend $113,730. Is there a motion on Article 19? Thank you. A second. The recommended amount has been moved and seconded for Article 19. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 19, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 19 carries. Article 20. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the support of social services for the ensuing year. Select person and budget committee recommend $4,700. Is there a motion on Article 20? Mr. Platt? The recommended amount has been moved. Is there a second? The recommended amount has been moved and seconded in Article 20. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 20, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 20 carries. Article 21. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for winter roads for the ensuing year, select persons and budget committee recommend $508,170. Is there a motion on Article 21? Thank you. A second? The recommended amount has been moved and seconded in Article 21. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 21, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 21 carries. Article 22. To see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for roads, bridges, and maintenance for the ensuing year, select persons and budget committee recommend $396,500. Is there a motion on Article 22? Thank you. A second. Article 22 has been moved and seconded as recommended by both the board and the select persons. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Mr. Standard.
I'm really glad to see that our selectmen and the road committee are saying what improvements need to be made to make our roads safe and recommend that next year, when we have our town meeting, they present to us a proposal to take out a bond to do all the repairs that they deem necessary and cover them with a bond. I believe they'll find that a lot cheaper than doing it over a period of 20 years or whatever they plan on doing. And it'll be better for our town if we go ahead and get our roads fixed rather than tearing our cars up in the ones that are down. So I would like to add that, not amend the law, but include what they do with the money.
Thank you, Mr. Standard. I'm going to try to repeat what you said, okay, because I'm fairly certain that others couldn't hear you. Mr. Standard expressed gratitude in the work that is being done by the select persons and the road committee and the road commissioner at this time. What he suggests is that, I believe, Mr. Standard, we'd have to amend the motion. So are you offering an amendment that we would add a responsibility to the select persons for this time next year to present to the legislative body the option of borrowing money through a bond in order to do the road work not over 20 years, but maybe over 2, and then pay that bond off while everyone's enjoying the good roads? Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Okay. So there's a pending motion to amend. Is there a second? Mark Silver has seconded the motion to amend. So we're going to only talk about the proposed amendment right now. If you want to speak to the proposed amendment, just so you understand, it doesn't add any money. It adds a responsibility to the select persons to present the opportunity to you to vote on borrowing the money to do that long-range plan in a much shorter time period, and then pay the bond back over time while you're using the improved roads. So if you'd like to speak to that proposed amendment, now would be the time to raise your hand. Jeff?
I believe that proposal has a lot of merit. A lot of people don't see it that way, and they think it's just taxes going up. But he does have a point. I run an inspection station in this town, and vehicles have to pass inspection per state order. Our roads aren't held to the same standard. And I believe at some point in time, this legislative body has got to have the guts to bring our standard of roads in this town up to a more acceptable level. Just speaking quickly from experience, in the 5 years that I've operated my own business and almost 20 years I worked for Clifford Lowe, the people that come into the garage are on their way to my garage with these 3 things wrong with their car. By the time they traverse Bonnie Road from Buckfield to my house, there's 2 more things wrong with their car. So I think that the amendment has merit, and I think that we're going to have to loosen up our purse strings a little bit and put a little more money into these roads and make them some sort of a standard. Because it's quite apparent that the young man that's doing the road commission job right now is working his butt off, trying to, in my words, polish a turd. So what happens is we keep driving these roads, I mean, there's a lot of people that, I'm not trying to filibuster here, but there's a lot of people that are financially challenged that are having a hard time just maintaining a vehicle to get back and forth to necessary things. I know a lot of elderly people that come into my business can't even afford to go to Lewiston because their car won't pass inspection. And what it needs is like $700 to $1,000 repair to get it up to an inspectable standard. So why on earth aren't our roads being held to an inspectable standard? I'm not talking paved roads everywhere and brand new tar. I mean, I'm talking some sort of a standard statement where we all agree that we're not gonna have somebody from out of town come drive through the roads and go, holy cow, these roads are what they live with? So, does this amendment have merit? Absolutely. I think we should reconsider how this question is presented and how we vote on it. Because our roads definitely need to be boosted up to a little bit higher standard. I rest.
Ms. Phillips?
Mr. Sanders, do you have like a ballpark, how many, $100 million of a bond or $30 million of a bond would be necessary to fix 50 miles of road?
Ms. Phillips, I have to interrupt you. The proposed amendment does not conclude any obligation for any amount of money.
Oh, I see.
It's simply, if the amendment would add the responsibility to the select persons to put an item before the body that would have that information in it next year, okay, at this time. There would be no obligation for you to vote yes on it necessarily, but it would require them to do that research and to give you the opportunity to vote on it. Are we all set? That's why I interrupted you, ma'am. I can't read it. Yell at me.
Right, yeah. I don't know if you can hear me. Now, Tom Standard, Mr. Standard's been, handling this here road issue for years and years and years, and he's written up some pretty healthy and good recommendations for the town to consider, and most of the time you hear, oh, well, we'll look at it. We gotta stop looking at things and start doing. That's it on that.
Thank you. So again, the motion before the body is the proposed amendment to have the select persons present an option that would include borrowing money and doing this work much more quickly. That wouldn't happen if the amendment passes. It would happen at this time next year. Anyone else who wishes to speak to the proposed amendment? I'm going to ask for your vote. If you're in favor of the proposed amendment, you will vote yes. Raise your hands if you're in favor. Thank you. Hands down, all those opposed. Thank you. The proposed amendment passes. So now there is an amended motion before the body, right? The main motion is to raise and appropriate $394,500 for roads, bridges, and maintenance for the coming year. And it has been amended to add the responsibility to the select persons to present you with an option to borrow money and to fix your roads faster as a result. That is now the amended motion. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the amended motion? I can't see again, but yes, your report.
Does this microphone
Oh
work?
goodness, please use it. That would be so much easier, Judge.
I know half the people, and not half, I think just about all the people that I've listened to, I couldn't hear anyway.
Little closer,
Is it
please.
on? Can you hear me? No?
You have to be right on the microphone.
Whoa, yes. Okay, I've been, what? Yeah. This road issue got me so ticked off it isn't funny, I don't know about you people, but riding around towns from here to Auburn, Lewiston, or wherever the heck, sometimes you run into traffic. So you go and you take a side street off of the main roads. Going down a lot of these roads, side streets, I notice a Maine dot truck there on the street doing work. You say, what the heck is this? Well, I go home and I go on Maine dot site. Maine dot has a site that you can look into and see who is paying or what work the Maine DOT is doing on roads. And you can see all these different streets. And I'm saying, this isn't a main street. This is just a shortcut for somebody to go by. And, it really does tick me off. Besides that, they say they don't have any money. I got a little study I did for the last 20 years. I had taken out of the town reports. And in the 20 years, what we have paid for what I figured that we had paid for in gas taxes to the state, which is, the state tax on gas is 30 cents a gallon. Federal tax on gas is 18.4 cents. That's 48 cents a gallon. There's a study that the federal government puts out a listing of what vehicles consume. They say automobiles use 500 gallons a year. Well, again, if you go into the town books, you can see how many autos there are. But the thing about that study, 500 gallons a year, might be good for somebody that lives in Auburn and doesn't put no mileage on. We live in Sumner, which is 30 miles from Auburn. We're 7 miles from the gas stations down on, I get all wound up. Down the bottom of the hill at Trap Corner, 7 miles to that gas station. You want to go to a gas station the other way to Route 4, it's like 22 miles. It costs us more to go to a gas station than it does, to go shopping. And we spend a lot of money. And I've got a bunch of papers here. You want them, you can come and get them from me, and you see what I'm talking about. But we do pay in the last 20 years or so, I figured we paid $3,357,000 in gas taxes to the state and to the feds, plus our state registration fees adds up to another $930,000. So we've given towards state and federal funds, gas taxes and stuff, money that's supposed to be used for roads, like $4.2 million. I mean, now we're getting money back from the state. Well, every year they give us a little step on, $37,000,
Excuse me, sir.
$47,000.
Can I ask you to hold for just one moment?
Yeah, go ahead.
What I would like you to do quickly is to connect your comment to the motion. Are you asking people to vote in favor of the motion or to vote in opposition? I need to know the answer to that question if you're going to continue.
Well, I'm just trying to state my displeasure at, us not getting any money from the state or the federal government. They always come up and say, we have no money.
Right, so what I have to explain to you is, you've made your complaint, we've all listened and we've heard it. All right, this is not the place to resolve the complaint, right? But the motion before us is the summer roads account for the town. Are you looking to ask people to support that motion or to oppose it?
I just want to know, I just want the people to know how much money we are contributing to gas taxes and stuff. Money that's supposed to be used to do the road, could be divided up into the towns of the U.S. To the roads. That's all I'm saying.
Well, thank you for sharing that data. At this point in time, I'm going to ask if there's anyone else who wishes to speak to the amended motion, and to give others an opportunity if they like it. And I might suggest if you compile data next year, you may want to print out copies and share it with folks, which might also help them to understand your point, sir.
They have them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak the amended motion? Mr. Chapman.
I think it would probably be appropriate to clarify the magnitude of this motion. And I'm assuming from your motion that you mean all roads, essentially. Every dirt road, paved road, every mile of road in the town of Sumner. Is that assessment correct?
My take of Mr. Standard's now approved amendment wasn't indicated. It was basically looking, if you have a plan and your plan is over 20 years, what would it cost to implement that plan? I don't think he prescribed what would be in the plan. That would be the long-range plan that involved the road commissioner and the select person. So I don't, Mr. Standard's amendment does not determine the answer to that question that you folks did. Okay?
We can hash that out in upcoming road committee meetings and select board meetings, but I probably should have brought this up earlier. I've been involved in recommend studies like this in the past, not involving roads, but usually to get a company to come in and do an assessment of this magnitude and try to provide the town with an accurate estimate for the amount of money that a multi-million-dollar project like this that we would be essentially voting on bonding and paying for up front is going to more than likely be costly to the town. It's pretty rare to get those assessments done for free. So just so you guys know that for next year. Thank you.
Is it Mr. Burke? Is that being, no, not yet, Tom, there's the gentleman behind you. No. Mr. Bunn, I'm sorry.
Question for you. Why do we have a road committee and then we're trying to put this on the select person? What's the road committee doing?
Road committee's gonna be working on the 5-year plan on July 11th.
The road committee, I'm informed by the select persons that the road committee is going to be devising the 5-year plan as early as July. It's already scheduled, so they're going to be doing this as a team sport, sir. It won't be but the select person is responsible for what goes on the warrant, and Mr. Standers' amendment directs the select person to have an option on the warrant for you folks to consider next year. Does that make sense? The road committee is still involved and still doing a lion's share of the work. Anybody else who wishes to speak to the amended motion? So I'll remind you, go ahead, Mr. Standard.
It's been a long time since I've worked a paycheck. When I did, I worked on roads. And I never knew of a paving company that charged the quote on a job. Request a quotation, and give you a quotation for what you are proposing. So I think you really need to be planned, like you said you were in the town report, said y'all was doing that. So if you do it, then you've got the information you need to send to the paving companies to request a quotation.
No, we're not just talking about.
Hang on just a second. Mr. Standard's point was in response to an earlier comment regarding how to determine the cost. And I think his point is that if you tell a paving company what you want to do, they'll tell you how much it's going to cost, and they won't charge you for the estimate. That's my understanding. And when you come to the mic, please. I just want to.
Yes, and we're not dealing with just paving. We're dealing with reconstructing our roads. It's ditching. A lot of the roads that we're dealing with, the old stone walls were pushed in years ago, and the rocks are coming to the surface. Those need to be removed. We got riprap. It's not just a matter of paving these roads. These roads need to be rebuilt. And that has been the plan of the Roads Committee, and we tackled Black Mountain, and we're currently on Lower Sumner Hill Road, getting these roads ready so that in the future we can bond out to have them paved once they're pavement ready.
Mr. Stanley.
Since I believe it doesn't cost you anything to get a quote, when you decide what you want to do, I would suggest you get a price and give it to us. I think you can do the whole job cheaper, quicker, and cheaper if you go ahead and get a quote on doing the whole job at once. And it doesn't cost you anything to find out and tell us.
Thank you. Ms. Standard? Ms. Chapman? The Standards are here, Ms. Chapman is there. I'm really struggling with this, word recognition today.
This might be a point of order, I'm not sure, but I am just wondering for about clarification on If we vote yes, we are voting for the summer roads and this amendment. It's unclear to us, to me as a voter, what is going to be expected of the selectmen next year at this time, just to put it on the ballot for people to say, yes, we want to have a bond, or are there more specifics that will be asked of the selectmen? So I'm a little unsure how I'm voting. So if we were to vote this down, that means the summer roads budget, we now have to have another conversation, because, correct? If we do not want to accept as amended, where are we at?
If you, in other words, there's two things that are part of the motion. There's the dollar figure that will provide the funds necessary to work on the summer roads in the ensuing year. And the second part is the amendment. If you don't favor both, you have the option of voting anyway, yes, or voting anyway, no. You're not making, the only commitment that the amendment makes is that next year at this time, you folks have the option of voting for a bond or not. You vote yes or no. Right now, which Mr. Standard is saying, and when he offered his amendment, let's give us the opportunity next year, and the select board and the road committee would work together, and there would be an opportunity. So they would be coming up with an article that would have the opportunity for townspeople to vote, to borrow the money and do the work faster. The content of that, the specific content, won't be known until next year.
So all we're saying is, by voting yes, it's agreeing to this budgeted amount for the summer roads, and there will be some kind of a bond discussion next year at this time for
And vote.
put forward to the people to vote on.
There will be a vote, a discussion, well, a vote and a discussion if they wait before the vote next year. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mary Ann.
I think this has been conversation we've been having as a community for probably at least 10, 12 years. Back in the time when Mr. Stanley was always involved with us. I think the questions around a bond complicate this process. We have to come back with a recommendation about a bond, and that bond application happens usually October. I mean, it makes it much more complicated to actually come with a proposal around the bond. I think the idea of having a shorter range proposal has more merit than saying, come back with a bond. Saying, yes, we can do it with a bond, but it would have to be over time, because there's an application process that complicates that. And we couldn't come with a supposed bond figure next year, because of the process we probably didn't even get it done, have the research they're gonna need to do, the road committee is gonna need to do, in order to come up with a proposal to give to a bond application. And it's more of a time-sensitive thing, where it's you're saying, yes, come up with a proposal, but if we wanna do it, it would cost us this much. And then how we fund it would be something else. It would have to be down the road, yes, we'll now go for a bond, but actually come and propose a bond seems unrealistic.
There isn't a requirement in the amendment that the select persons propose the bond, but that they provide a bond, and you folks will decide whether you vote yes or no on it. But they would be responsible for giving you that opportunity. The implementation timeframe can be part of the motion that is brought. I just wanted to clarify that. Mr. Litchfield, sorry. Mr. Glad.
Call the question.
I don't have anyone else on my list, and I don't see any other cards, except for Mr. Runas, who just raised his hand.
Well, we've heard that the road committee is working on a 5-year schedule. I wonder if Mr. Sanders would consider changing his amendment to an estimate on what it would cost to do that 5 years worth of work as one, instead of the whole task.
It's not up to Mr. Standard. The body has approved Mr. Standard's amendment. Unless you propose another amendment, Mr. Standard cannot make that decision. This group will have to make that decision, Mr. Runas.
Then I would propose changing Mr. Standard's amendment
a 5-year proposal as an estimate of what we might think the cost would be, because that's something we could probably do in-house.
It's unclear to me. It sounds as if the amendment that you're proposing would in fact defeat the earlier amendment, which would mean it wouldn't be germane because it's, because we voted on that already. It appears to me that that is their intent. I don't think you have to tell them to do it, Bob. Does that make sense?
No, because Mr. Standard, I believe, is proposing a whole town's worth of roads. And I think that's way too big a task to try to put on a road committee in the town because of all the work that's involved in that. But if they're working on a 5-year schedule, it makes more sense to me for them to give some sort of an estimate based on work currently done on what it would cost to do that 5 years worth of work as one.
Well, what I explained when Mr. Chapman came to the microphone was that's exactly what that proposed motion will result in. If what the road committee and the select person are doing is putting together a 5-year capital plan for the roads, then that's what you're going to get an option to potentially bond for next year.
Right,
It's not going to be 20 years worth. It's good.
that Mr. Standard's
He did not put a time frame on his.
No, he didn't.
Right, so could you sit down now, please, Bob? Thank you. Okay. You're making it more complicated than it is, because Mr. Standard is not prescribing the geography that would be impacted. That's left to the road committee and to the select persons. It's just that whatever they come up with, if it's a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan, that the option be presented next year that allows you to decide if you want to borrow the money and do it all at the same time, or if you want to cost it out over 5 or 10 years. Do we understand what the motion is? This is your summer roads budget combined with the requirement to offer bonding option to you all a year from now. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion? I'm going to ask for your vote. Again, it's an amended motion. All those in favor of the amended motion, please raise your hands. We're voting on the amended motion, which is the article plus the amendment that the body already supported. It's all together. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you, hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The amended motion on Article 20 carries. Excuse me, Article 22. Article 23, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for road equipment and repair for the ensuing year. Select person and budget committee recommend $3,500. Is there a motion on Article 23? Thank you. Is that a second, sir? Are you seconding the motion?
No.
Well, hang on. It doesn't have a second yet, so you can't talk yet. Okay. The recommended amount of $3,500 has been moved and seconded, and this is Article number 23. Does your comment relate directly to the motion on Article 23, sir?
Well, for one thing there, I didn't hear very much of what Mr. Lewis had said. I want to quote a couple words he said.
I'm sorry, but we are past that, sir. I can answer your question after the meeting, but I'm not going to do it now.
Please ask people to use the microphone.
I can do that, sir. I will do that. Thank you. I'm on Article 23. The recommended amount has been moved and seconded, and this is for the repair of road equipment and repair. Are there any folks who wish to speak to the motion on Article 23? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 23 carries. Article 24. To see if the town will authorize the treasurer to make payments from the general fund for abatements approved by the select persons. This is recommended by the select persons. Is there a motion on Article 24? Is there a second? Article 24 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 24 carries. Article 25, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for recreation for the ensuing year. Select Persons and Budget Committee recommend $1,500. Is there a motion on Article 25? Thank you. Is there a second? Article 25 has been moved and seconded for the recommended amount. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 25, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 25 carries. Article 26, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the planning board for the ensuing year. Select Persons and Budget Committee recommend $1,400. Is there a motion on Article 26? Ms. Sanders? Thank you. Is there a second? The recommended amount of $1,400 has been moved and seconded. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 26, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 26 carries. Article 27, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for animal control for the ensuing year. Select Persons and Budget Committee recommend $2,000. Is there a motion on Article 27? Is there a second? Article 27 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes, and this is the $2,000 recommended amount, is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion on Article 27 carries. Article 28, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the care of cemeteries and Memorial Day flags, mowing of the town beach, and the town office complex, signs and lawns. Select Persons and Budget Committee recommend $14,450. Is there a motion on Article 28? Is there a second? The recommended amount has been moved and seconded for Article 28. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 28, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 28 carries. Article 29, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for the Tool Hill Road replacement bond payment. Select Persons and Budget Committee recommend $20,812. Is there a motion on Article 29? Thank you. A second? The recommended amount has been moved and seconded for Article 29. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Ms. Frina, could you use the microphone, please? Certainly.
Does this amount of money at all include the repair of the guardrail? Thank you.
The answer to Ms. Frino's question was no. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 29? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 29, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 29 carries. Article 30, to see what sum of money the town will vote to raise and appropriate for solid waste operations for the ensuing year. Select Persons and Budget Committee recommend $84,296. Is there a motion on Article 30? Thank you. Is there a second? The recommended amount has been moved and seconded for Article number 30. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Mr. Standard?
In 91, I've gotten a little bit more feeble than I used to be. And the way the roofs are on the buildings at this transfer station, the water runs off and freezes right at the place where you're dumping your garbage. And so I would recommend that we add to the budget gutters that would protect people who are emptying their garbage and the waste material there at the waste station.
Mr. Standard, is it your intent to offer an amendment that would add that requirement to this article? Or are you making a suggestion to the select persons to work with the folks at the transfer station to do that, sir?
I believe that we have a committee that works with the transfer station, so they should be able to recommend it something.
Just offering a recommendation to that committee. Thank you, sir. Are there members of the town's solid waste committee, the select persons? Great. Thank you very much. The recommendation to install gutters over the building so that when you're leaving your rubbish, you're putting it into the hopper, you're not getting the runoff from the roof. It's just a recommendation. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Standard. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 30? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion, Article 30, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 30 carries. Article 31, to see if the town will authorize the select persons to sell and dispose of tax-acquired properties held by the town by means of the special sale process required by 36 Maine Revised Statute subsection 943-C for qualifying property if they choose to sell it to anyone other than the former owners, and to execute quitclaim deeds for such property. This is recommended by select persons. Is there a motion on Article 31? Is there a second? Article 31 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Ms. Phillips. Ms. Phillips, hang on a second. People want to be able to hear you. The suggestion down here was that if you could use a microphone or use an outdoor voice so I can hear you.
Okay. When the town is selling properties, will the townspeople be notified that who you plan on selling these properties to?
I believe Ms. Phillips' question is there an opportunity, or does the select person do there as a town office inform residents when there is tax-acquired property that's going to be sold? Is there someone who knows that answer?
The simple answer is yes. The more complicated answer is, according to the new statutes, if tax-acquired property is sold to anyone other than the previous owner, it actually needs to go through a whole process, and if the previous owners ask, then it needs to be sold through a realtor, which means that everybody owns it.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 31? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion 31, please raise your hand. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 31 carries. Article 32, to see if the town will authorize the select persons to enter into 3-year contracts for services such as winter roads and maintenance, sanitary, town lot mowing, winter sand supply, and municipal office plowing. This is recommended by the select persons. Is there a motion on Article 32? Is there a second? Article 32 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 32, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 32 carries. Article 33, to see what sum of money the town will vote to restore and protect town historical records. Select persons and Budget Committee recommend $1,500. Is there a motion on Article 33? Thank you. Is there a second? All right. The recommended amount has been moved and seconded for Article 33. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your, I'm sorry, Mr. Babb.
Are these the historical records in the town office now?
Yes.
The question is, what's the location of these town records at this time? And you said it's in the town, they're in the town office. You want to explain, Diane?
This recommended amount would be specifically for historical records housed in the town office right now.
Ms. Frito, you want to add that?
Currently, the neighborhood house houses all of the documentation that came from the Sumner Historical Society. But like Diane said, that money will go to preserve the documents that are at the town office right now.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the motion on Article 33? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 33, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 33 carries. Article 34, to see if the town will allow ATV access on the following: Reading to Black Mountain, Town Way; Black Mountain to Greenwoods, Town Way; Greenwoods to 219, State Route; River Road from Trailhead to Trailhead, which is a public easement, in accordance with the rules established by Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, and to give the Select Board the authority to revoke these privileges at any time if they deem necessary. This is recommended by the select persons. Is there a motion on Article 24? Sir? Are you making a motion, sir? Okay, I still don't know what you're... Thank you. Is there a second? All right. Oh, do you live in town, sir? Yes. Are you registered to vote? Apparently he lives in town and he's registered to vote. I'm not sure what to do with this. There are others, sir, who think you live in Woodstock, and I don't want to prevent you from speaking. I need the folks that are participating to be Sumner residents that are registered to vote. Okay, so it's been moved. Is there a second? Thank you. All right. So, Article 34 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Mr. Glass.
I'd like to offer an amendment.
Mr. Glass, would you use the microphone? I don't care which one. Here you go.
I'd like to offer an amendment and to restrict the hours of operation on this to 8 a.m. until sunset daily. To delete River Road, it's a public easement down a town way.
Okay, hang on just a second. You need to slow down. I heard the first part, which I understand is a proposed amendment that would have the operating hours that this would be allowed would be 8 a.m. to sunset daily.
Correct.
Is there a continuing piece?
Yes. Remove River Road from the list. It's a public easement, not a town way. And to remove Greenwoods Road, it's a state-maintained highway.
So it's a three-part amendment you're
Yes.
proposing, Mr. Glass. Hang on just a second. Is there anybody who seconds the proposed amendment? All right. There's been an amendment offered that has been moved and seconded. It has three parts to it. It would change the main motion to include hours that would be permissible would be beginning at 8 a.m. through sunset daily. The amendment would also remove the River Road, and it would remove the Greenwoods Road. So the roads that would be included would remain Reading to Black Mountain and Black Mountain to Greenwoods. Have I got that right, Mr. Glass? Okay. Can't read it. Ms. Bunny. I'm gonna insist that you use a microphone now. I wish I could bring it to you. I apologize. And just to be clear, right now, the only thing we're talking about is the proposed amendment. Let's be thinking if you want to add your comments to the discussion. And thank you for making that hike, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Bring the mic, there you go, and talk right like you're gonna swallow the damn thing.
My issue is with the four-wheelers using the roads. We have enough problems with our roads as it is. We don't have enough money to fix our roads as it is. Like someone said, some of these are back roads, easement roads, like my road.
Ms. Bone, I'm gonna interrupt you just a minute. I want to hear what you have to say, but you're addressing the main motion, ma'am, and not the proposed amendment.
Well, I didn't get a chance to address the main.
We're not there yet. That's because we have to deal with the proposed amendment first.
Okay, then I'll just stand here and wait.
Great, and you'll share the microphone if someone else needs it in the
I
meantime.
sure will.
Thank you. Ms. Chase. And again, we're talking about the proposed amendment.
Can I suggest that the proposed amendment be split into two, that the hours of operation be one amendment, and then the road portion be another amendment?
I'm looking at Mr. Glass. Mr. Glass, if we were to do that at this point in time, it would be a friendly amendment, and we would end up with two proposed amendments, only one of which we will talk about at a time. Are we clear about that? All right, Mr. Glass seems willing to do that. So, Ms. Chastity, on your recommendation, the proposed amendment before the body at this time are the hours of operation, the first part that Mr. Glass proposed. It won't address whether or not the other two roads are included. We'll get back to that. Are we clear? Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the proposed amendment that would limit the access on ATV access from 8 a.m. to sunset daily? That's the proposed amendment. Mary Ann.
I'd like to hear Mr. Glass's rationale for that proposal.
Mr. Glass, yeah, microphone. Thank you, sir. Mark, I have you on my list.
There's a fair amount of traffic that's generated by ATVs, particularly after dark on Reading Road. It goes on until as late as 11 o'clock to midnight.
Could you hold your name sign up so that your hand isn't covering that? And I still can't read it, so stand up, tell me your name, and if you can't holler, go to the microphone, please. Thank you. Douglas, Elizabeth Douglas. Mark, you're next.
Just to kind of go against,
Mark, you got almost swallowed the darn thing.
Okay. We are a small town, okay? We've talked about that. Most of us work out of town. So I just kind of want to have everyone be mindful. Like, I don't get home until 5 o'clock, so if I want to go ride on my ATV, I should be allowed to do that. It's not my choice that I have to work out of town.
Mark, I need you at the microphone, sir. Not that Mark. That Mark, and then that Mark. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
I just want to propose that all voting for this will be done by written ballot. That's all, for all the amendments and for the article itself.
Thank you, sir. We will be using a written ballot as we resolve the questions that are coming before the body on this item. We don't need to vote on that. We just need someone to ask, and Mark has done that. Mark, you have the floor. And again, it's just a proposed amendment that limits the time.
Understood. This is to Mr. Glass's amendment. The state doesn't recognize hours of operation, so it would be impossible or very difficult, if not impossible, to monitor times because you're going to have people from other communities driving through. So even if we post it up on our webpage, we can't promise that it'd be abided by, and that's when complaints start. So just want to make that clear, that this is a state ordinance, not ours, right? We don't have the ability to tell the state hours of operation.
Thank you, sir. Again, the proposed motion is to limit the hours on these town roads for ATV access, which would be 8 a.m. to sunset. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to that proposed amendment? I'm going to ask for your vote at this time. All those in favor of the proposed amendment, please vote. I'm sorry? Oh, that's right, thank you. I don't know what my brain problem is today. Thank you, great. So, we're gonna try to adjust the alphabet. The clerks have done that. So A to J is gonna be with Deb Freno, and then the second half of the alphabet will be here on your left. We're gonna vote on this proposed amendment. So you're gonna check yes or no. If you vote yes, you support the proposed amendment of having that time limit to the ATV access. If you don't, you will vote no. You may line up for a ballot, and I'll make sure the ballot box is empty. Number 34. There were 29 yes votes and 46 no votes, so the proposal is a second amendment. So the first one failed because the time limits were not adopted as part of the motion. Mr. Glass, your original amendment included 2 roads to be removed from the list. That is the second amendment that we're now going to take up. It was moved and seconded to that portion of the proposed amendment. And the 2 roads that are being proposed to eliminate are the Greenwoods to 219 Road and the River Road from Trailhead to Trailhead. So my question is, do you understand now the content of this second proposed amendment? All right, is there anyone who wishes to speak? Ms. Clark, please raise your hand.
As a matter of what we have responsibility for, we own town ways. And so when we as a body authorize somebody to do something on a road that is not a town way, then that I think would lead us down the path of potentially in owning that. So River Road would be one of those things that if we start giving permission to do things on River Road, which is a public easement and not a town way, then it becomes a little murky as to who actually owns it. And Greenwood is a state maintained road.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to the proposed amendment for Article number 34? Seeing no hands. I'm going to again ask for your vote. I want to commend the ballot clerks because they did adjust the alphabet in such a way that we finished with a bit more efficiency. Thank you, ladies. I'm going to open the voting now on the second proposed amendment, which is to eliminate the third and fourth road from the main motion. If you're in favor, you'll vote yes. If you're opposed, you'll vote no. The ballot box is open. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to reconvene our meeting. The ballot clerks have again completed their job on the second proposed amendment for Article number 34. The yes votes tallied at 30, the no votes at 48. The proposed amendment fails. So we are back to the main motion. The main motion is as written and read at the top of page 71, I believe, in your town report under Article 34. I'm going to read it again. The motion is to allow ATV access on the following ways: Reading to Black Mountain, Black Mountain to Greenwoods, Greenwoods to 219, and River Road from Trailhead to Trailhead. And this is in accordance with rules established by inland fisheries and wildlife, and give the select board the authority to revoke these privileges at any time they deem necessary. That is the main motion of Article 34. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to that motion at this time? Yes, I almost forgot. The floor is yours. You are patient. Thank you so much.
So I'm just going to come right out and say I'm against the four-wheelers on the roads. You know, we don't have the money to pay to fix the roads to begin with. They asked for the registration fees back so they can put it into the trails. They've been kicked off of property owners because of tearing up the land, but they're not going to do it on our roads.
Right up, finish up so we can hear you. Right up like
I'm trying. And I'm just get a little nervous talking to you to pick fun of this many people, but anyway. If you look at the town book here, we had 18 four-wheelers registered in Sumner. Seems to me like there's a big group of people looking to continue using our roads and tearing them up when we're getting 18 people to register their four-wheelers and let them tear up our roads and we have to pay for it. And the more you let them use the roads, the more roads they're going to use. I live on a road that they're not allowed, but that doesn't matter. They still go up and down all day. They want to get out and get their relaxation. You know what? I'm at home. I want to sit on my front porch and relax. I don't want to hear you going up and down my road. I don't want to have to worry about hitting you on my way out the road. So that's my opinion. I think Sumner is doing a disservice by allowing them to run the roads that we can't pay to fix to begin with. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to be heard on the motion on Article 34? Seeing no hands. Again, I'm going to ask for your vote. Again, we're going to do this through written ballot. So again, I'm going to have you come forward. You'll receive your ballot, mark it. Yes means you are in favor of the ATV access as written. No means you are not. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to reconvene the meeting. The ballot clerks have finished their task regarding Article 34. There were 43 yes and 37 no. So the motion on Article 34 carries. This is the last of what we have to do, I believe, are the 4 ordinance amendments here on our agenda. And I want to remind you that Mr. Chapman asked that when we reach the final decision, if you would be patient and wait so that he could provide some recognitions at the end of the meeting. There we go. So we're on Article 35. And each of these 4 articles, as we take them one at a time, they cannot be amended from the floor. You either vote for the proposed changes or you vote against them, but you're not allowed to change them here. So Article 35 is to see if the town will accept the dog control ordinance as amended at the public hearing. This is recommended by the select person. Is there a motion on Article 35? Article 35 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 35, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 35 carries. Article 36, to see if the town will accept the subdivision ordinance as amended at the public hearing. Is there a motion on Article 36? Is there a second? Article 36 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 36, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 36 carries. Article 37, to see if the town will vote to accept the solar energy generation systems ordinance as presented at the public hearing. Is there a motion on Article 37? Article 37 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 37, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. The motion on Article 37 carries. Article 38, to see if the town will vote to accept the minimum lot size ordinance as amended at the town hearing. Is there a motion on Article 38? Article 38 has been moved. Is there a second? Article 38 has been moved and seconded as read. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the motion? Seeing no hands, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 38, please raise your hands. Thank you. Hands down. All those opposed? Thank you. Before I entertain a motion to adjourn, I'd like to ask Selectman Chapman, oh, sorry. Yes, my apologies. Mr. Chapman, would you come forward, please? We would ask, prior to adjournment, if you could have a moment.
First of all, I just wanted to thank so many of you in the town for your involvement this year. One of the things that I asked last year when I was running was for your participation in helping us as a community move forward in this town with our plans and the things that are important to us in this town. For instance, the roads being one of them, and with our town's ordinances, with the people we have on the planning board, on the budget committee, having a plan, a backup plan, so on and so forth. I could go on and on, but I just want to say that I'm very thankful. Secondly, I wanted to make the announcement that the next town meeting, the next annual town meeting, that is going to be June 25th at 6 p.m. That's going to be a Wednesday. All right. Please come forward, Kristen. All right. Guys, there's been two special ladies, both named Susan, that have done an incredible job, sacrificed a lot of their time to help get our town back on track, to train our new employees, and just do a fantastic job in the town office. And I just wanted to thank them for coming out of retirement and helping us out. And Susan Runez, Susan Strout, thank you so much. Our town owes you a debt of gratitude. Thank you for all your hard work.
At this point in time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor, raise your hands. Great job, folks. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Bye-bye.